Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Welcome to this tutorial, and today we are going to be discussing about foreign keys. Okay, we are going to discuss about foreign keys. What is foreign key? It is one of the crucial topic in relational database management systems. In the database system that deals with relational data, foreign key is a core topic to it. And one of the purposes, the most important purpose of relational database, what I mean by a relational database, this is a kind of database that has data in different tables, which tables are related to one another, or maybe multiple tables sharing information amongst themselves. And in that case, we need to show the relationship that exists between those tables that share certain data. And the aspect that helps us to achieve that relational database purpose is the foreign key. Okay, so to understand what we mean by redundancy or duplicated data is, for example, if we do not have foreign keys, or we do not read tables, you'll find that we may face an issue of redundancy. Okay, so if I can demonstrate with, I have my table here for course, which I have data for, okay, and then I have my table student here, for which I didn't provide data. So if I'm to demonstrate, I could say if I have my student ID 1 with reg number 001 and name maybe Omar, and course maybe BIT. So course BIT. So if you didn't have this table here, okay, just assuming that you don't have this table here, just saying BIT for Umar. Let me first cut this. Hopefully I won't forget to paste, and I make another copy. So assuming that you don't have the course table and we only have student table. So we want to associate Umar with the course, our student Umar with the course he is doing. But having the word BIT is not enough information to specify the details of the course that Omar does, because we need to know this course BIT, which faculty does it fall into, how many years is it running for, and maybe we need to know the department, and maybe the code, that kind of information about the BIT. So in that case, you'll find that you're going to have fields here for course. Maybe this is the course name, and this you're going to have faculty, because you want to associate all these with OMA. So you're going to be forced to have faculty, then you will have the department. Okay, the department, I'm just abbreviating the names just because of space, and also the duration. Okay, and also the duration. So you're having all this. So if we are to go ahead and say, okay, faculty is science, and then department is also science for our OMA, and then duration is maybe 3 years. So your OMA's gender is male, and OMA maybe address is Chivuli. So you're going to have another student whose reg number is 002, who's Shamim, who also does BIT. Okay, again, BIT is in the same faculty, same department, 3 years. Okay, now this is female, and then maybe she lives in Kabalagala. These are places that are around us. That's why I always use them. So Kabalagala. Okay, the ID is supposed to be 2, not 1, because it has to be unique. So I can go like this. So remember, we can have like 100 students in the BIT course in different years. So we have not even talked about the years and the semesters and whatever, just the basic information. So assuming that we have 10 students in our BIT course, you're going to find that we are repeating this set of information, these 3 records, science, 3, because this is the same information about the course BIT. It doesn't change per student. For all the students who fall in the same, who do the same course, they share these details. So when you have 100 students doing BIT, you're going to have 100 duplicated records of this course. And this is what we call duplication or redundancy. So relational database come in to help us avoid such things, whereby they tell us once you find yourself in such a scenario where you are repeating some information that doesn't change on different records within the table, then we are supposed to pull out this information and we put it into a separate table on its own. And then what we do is we relate these two tables through the use of keys, okay, through the use of keys as I'm going to demonstrate. And then this information are related and they can share the information as we are going to see. So in this case, I'm going to undo. Oh, this one doesn't undo many times. So I'm going to paste back my table course. And then, so I'm going to remove these records. Okay, before I remove them, so now we transfer this information that has been repeating in this table student into its own separate table, whereby this information of BIT course, information of the same course, will only appear on one. I don't have BIT, so I have, okay, let me just change this to BIT. So all the information that appears on all students that do the same course, BIT, is only appearing in one record, okay? So you don't have to repeat this in this table course. So how do we relate this? Then through the use of keys, whereby here we have a column which is a primary key, okay, which is a primary key here, don't mind about the okay, let me just say PK, okay, like that. So primary key is that key that uniquely identifies records in the same table. So we don't expect any two records to have the same key, just like you people don't have the same reg number. No two students can have the same reg number in IU. It has never happened, it is not happening, it will never happen. Okay, so that is what we call primary key, a key that uniquely identifies records within the same table. Now, when we need information from this table to be shared in another table that requires information about the BIT or about any of these records, for example, now like we want to associate a student, Omar or Shamim, with the information about the course, then in that case, that's when we come in with a foreign key, whereby the primary key here, it is going to appear in another table as a foreign key. And this is the notion of primary key, or the analogy where it comes from, that initially the key appears in its own table, uniquely identifying all the records. But once we want to associate a table's information with the information from another table, then we use the primary key in that table as a foreign key in another table. So if we need information about student here, we don't need these records, these columns here. Why? Because this information is residing somewhere else, so you don't have to duplicate it here, okay? Just a moment, I just want to put my table back in shape, okay? Yeah, so in that case, we don't need to have, so we use the primary key. Most of the times it is the primary key, although we can have other keys, as we shall say, like unique and index and special, but most of the times we use the primary key of a table as a foreign key in another table, which table needs information from this table. So here we can say, now instead of having the information as BIT, science, and years, we just use the primary key field value only. So we just say, okay, Omar is doing BIT, so BIT has which code, or what is the primary key value of BIT in this table course? So it is C001, okay? And then Shamim is also doing BIT. Again, Shamim has C001. So the reason as to why we have this, for this one, it can replicate itself. It can duplicate itself many times. The important thing is it is just one value that we are repeating, and we are not repeating several values within the same table. So in case we know, okay, Shamim is having a course with this code, in case we need information about this course that has this code, we just have to query this database for this query, as we shall see how to select, and then it would it will return to us all these details for us, but not having these details repeated in the course table. I hope you're getting my explanation why we need foreign keys. So that is the analogy behind foreign keys, that two tables are sharing information. In one of the tables, we need some information that is repeating, or that doesn't repeat, that doesn't change per the records of that table. So what we do is we pull out that table, that information, and we put it in a separate table. We make a primary key in that table, and we use that primary key as a foreign key in this table, which shares information. Because now when you look at student, we need to know what the course that they are doing. But course is its own entity, is an entity on its own. So we separate it, and then we use the primary key values in the table course as foreign key values in here. So while here primary keys don't repeat, for foreign keys we can duplicate them many times. But this doesn't mean that, again, we are not solving anything. We are solving so much because we are not repeating this information so many times. We are only getting the primary key, which information helps us to relate these two tables. And this is where, as we shall see later on, it comes to those kind of cardinalities that we looked at in object-oriented programming, the one to many, the one to many. This is where it comes from, that you have one record here which can't be duplicated, but as a primary key, for the same course, it is duplicated on many students. So one course can be offered by many students, because many students can be having or can be associated with the same course. So that's how the kind of one to many relationship comes in. So to do this, one thing that we need to identify is these two tables. One is a parent table and the other one is a child table. So a table that exists on its own without depending on another table is what we call the parent table, and the child table is the one that depends on the information from another table. So if you look at these two tables, the table student depends on the information about course. Okay, so meaning that our course is the parent table, and then student is the child table, because it is the student that has information about the course. This information originally comes from the table course, and then it is only shared in here as a child table. So once we identify what is the parent table and which one is the child table, then we go ahead and implement the foreign key. Foreign keys are implemented on the child tables. Foreign keys are implemented on the child tables, because it is this table that needs to show that I have a relationship to the parent. Most of the times the parent do not have to say, okay, yeah, I own that kid, or I own that child. No. So we always use the child to show that it is originating from somewhere. Okay, because it is the student that derives from the course. Let me first check the time. Okay. So after identifying that, after knowing that you have to identify the child table and you have to identify the parent table, and then we write the foreign key code or implementation on the child table. So how do we do that? And there are a few things that we need. One, okay, now we are on the child table and we want to implement the foreign key. So first thing that we need to know is what we call as the reference table. So this reference table is the same as the parent table. Okay, the table that you are referring to. That's the where we get the word reference. Which table are you referring to? Since you're on the child table, so which one are we referring to as our parent? Then after having the reference table, then you have to have a reference column. So a reference column is that column in the parent table that has unique values, or that we want to relate to with our child table. In that case, that is most of the times the primary key of the parent table. Although it's not the case, not always the case, but most of the times we refer to the primary key. PK is for primary key. So the primary key column, let me add that, primary key column for the parent table. So in this case, which could be our course code. Okay, our course code. Then the other thing is what we call as the foreign key column. So the foreign key column is that column on our child table that we want to relate to the primary key of the parent table. I don't know that you're not getting confused. The reference column is the primary key column in the parent table, which is our code. Okay, but then the foreign key column is that column on our child table which we want to refer to our primary key table in the our primary key column in the parent table. Okay, so now if I'm to demonstrate here, I will say a column on the child table that we use to refer to, okay, that we use, let me just be expressive, that we use to refer to the primary key column of, okay, the primary key column of the parent table. So that is the foreign key column. Okay, and then I think those are the main ones. The other ones I'm going to add them in the next tutorial. I can see it is past the time I want to record my video.